the challenge of engaging citizens in science and with sensors. And they came up with this Cambridge bike sensor, a portable sensor to mount on bikes, and we'll tell you all about it. And I think there are some people here in the audience who are the citizens who use those sensors and collected the data for the students. So over to 4 of them. And I think afterwards we'll all be on stage and you can ask them questions.
So thank you, Oliver, for the very kind introduction, and to the previous speakers for really giving the context for our project. So as Oliver was saying, we are the CamBike sensor team, and we are also the 2017 MRAS cohort of the sensor CDT. So we'll talk to you a bit today about what we've done, what we aim to do, what we've achieved, what we still hope to do with CamBike sensor. So without further ado, this is us actually. You know, all the people in the green t-shirts are the unity nowadays, but 10 people with very different scientific backgrounds all coming together for 10 weeks to build something special. And as Oliver said, a citizen science sensor project. So what that really means is something that citizens can use, understand, learn from, contribute to, and that is also useful for the scientific community. So we had to think, what does that mean for Cambridge? What matters to the Cambridge community, and what can we do that would appeal to everyone in Cambridge? And well, the answer in hindsight might actually seem quite obvious. It's cycling. You know, if you quite a lot of people in Cambridge cycle to work day. There's a lot of students who are commuting by bike and experiencing some issues related to the quality of their local environment. And really, you know, obviously you kind of know yourself, you have an intuition of what might be good, what might be less good, but really individual and granular data is not readily available. So we thought, well, maybe we can actually just stick sensors onto bikes and quantify something of interest. And maybe people would be really interested in that. We thought it would be cool at least. So, potholes, for instance, road quality is something that you can measure by having someone go out and inspect it as you would a bridge. But also, that's not the most efficient way to do it. So maybe if we have a sensor solution for that, we could really automate something and make it so much more convenient. And similarly, air quality. So you've probably seen this in the news quite a lot recently, unless you don't have internet access, but really. So there are still issues. As the previous speaker said, air quality in the UK and elsewhere is improving, but there are still issues, and this is affecting people's health. So this is something that's hugely important. And if you look at a map of Cambridge, you might not really realize what this is, but these are the 5 locations where the council does continuous air quality monitoring, which is great because those are really high quality instruments and we need that. But if you happen to live somewhere else, then you don't really know what's actually going on in your street. And air quality does matter. What we decided to look into was particulate matter, which is the air pollutant most reliably associated with human disease, and one for which there actually is no safe level of exposure. So you might think, well, Cambridge should be a fairly clean city, and it is, and it's all, usually the values that you see are within the green range. But for every 10 micrograms per cubic meter of particulate matter that you add on in daily exposure, all-cause mortality for all citizens, not just those with one specific risk factor, increases by 0.2 to 0.6% according to the WHO. And that's really significant. So, we found lots of things where we thought we could make a difference, and things that we felt were very important. But obviously, if you don't then go on to do something, that won't make a difference. So we thought, well, what can we build, sensor technology-wise, that citizens can use to make a difference to their local environment? And we did build something for that, and we'll hand you over to Lorena.
So we're doing a citizen science project. So we want as many people as possible to use our sensors. We want people to be able to build it on their own if they like to, regardless the background they have. Maybe they don't have a technological background. We want people to have access to the data we generate. So for that, we need a sensor hub that is low cost, that it uses and integrates components that are off the shelf, so anyone can order them if they like to build it on their own. And it has to be open source. And finally, also, we came up with a design that is modular. So we're integrating the off-the-shelf components all together in this printed circuit board. And we went for a plug-and-play format, so we want something that is very easy to build for everyone to use, and also for an educational purpose and workshops. So you get all these plug-and-play, so the idea is you put the components on, you mount it on your bike, and you're ready to go. And also the modular part, so maybe you are not that interested in the accelerometer data, so you could unplug the accelerometer and the device is completely functional. Let me show you what are the different components. We have the brain of the system, so that's an STM32 microcontroller, it's also called Blackville, and it satisfies all the requirements we need in terms of memory and communication pins. But the main advantage is that it's very low cost, so it's less than £2. And it controls all the other components in the hub. Then we want to geotag all the data we collect. So we tried several GPS, and we're finally using this one because it has a very short cold start time, and that's important because we don't want citizens to wait for a very long time for the GPS to look at the satellites and calculate location before they go and cycle. And it also has low interferences with the rest of the electronics. We are incorporating an accelerometer, so that's to infer wall quality. If you check the x-axis, you could try to infer potholes. And that's the heart of our sensor, is a particulate matter sensor. I will talk about it a bit later. We are saving all the data right now into an SD card, so volunteers are manually uploading into our website, but we are also working towards implementing a wireless transmission with LoRaWAN, which is low power and allows long-range wireless transmission. But it also has its limitations in terms of how much data you can send in a single packet and how often you can send it. But it will hopefully come soon. Of course, we need to power the device. So right now, some of our volunteers, if they use normal AAA batteries, the sensor hub runs for continuously for about 4 hours. So if you cycle for about 40 minutes per day, that could be kind of a week, more or less. But you can also modify, use power banks or batteries with high capacities, and then you can significantly increase battery life. We need some electronics to make sure that all the components get the right voltage. And then, because there's no electronics without a fancy LED, we also incorporate us, but it's actually the master switch. And it also works as a status LED, so it tells you what changing color, what's going on, if there's any error, if the battery is low, and it gives you indications. Going back to the particulate matter sensor we're using, this is the one. It has an inlet here. So there is a fan that sucks air inside, and there is a laser, so it's based on dynamic light scattering. It has a laser that shines light to the particles, and it can categorize if they are below 2.5 microns in diameter or below 10 microns in diameter. The range of detection is suitable for our purposes, so normal values in a normal day are in the range. And we also calibrated in a clean room, and we found that there is no looking for offsets and there is no baseline. But you can see what's calibrated is that's one of the city council monitoring stations. And that's the station 1, and that's our sensor. So you can see that the absolute values is a very low cost sensor, it costs around 20 pounds. So the absolute values are not fitting exactly the ones from the city council. But you can see that the trend is same, it's similar, it has the same trend. So what we aim to do, our aim is not to say, oh, in this particular point you have this concentration of particulate matter. What we want to see is how it varies compared from one street to another, or if in a traffic light, it's significantly worse than if you go for a park. So that's what our aim. And for that, the sensor is good enough. And then we have a nice laser cut wooden box that states very clearly what it does. And that's the one that our volunteers have right now and are using. And
So you've heard it a couple of times today. Our project is a citizen science project. That means our task was not only to build like a very cool sensor, but also to get the Cambridge citizens and the Cambridge public involved. And I'd like to talk you through the strategies that we use to get them involved. So we set our mission not only for people to participate and collect data with our sensor, but we also wanted to raise the public awareness of environmental issues. So we hope by giving the CamBike sensor to people that they have the tool to make a difference in their local environmental community. We therefore identified several avenues to reach out to people, first of which being media. So we created social media channels on all relevant platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But we also talked to like the more conventional media such as local radio stations, TV stations, and newspapers and bulletins. That's just to reach a wider community of also older people. Second, we hosted workshops for more specific audiences. First of which being a children's workshop, where we taught them like soldering about like the issues associated with a particular method. And second, we hosted a makeover for like the expert community, where we reached out and invited people with like different backgrounds from electronic engineering to computer science, but also bike experts. And we tried to like sort of build an expert community around our project. And then finally, we attended a series of networking events, such as the Cambridge Wireless event, where we like try to identify potential collaborators, but also share our ideas and experiences with related startup projects. Once you have the awareness of people of the project, you have to deliver the hardware. We created 3 different ways of how you could get a CamBike sensor. So first, we have a wiki page. Since it's all open source, you could just get the components on your own and build it yourself. This is also a very valid way for our international partners to build it in foreign countries. Second, you could get the component kit from us and build it yourself at home. But we also had to consider the people which don't have a techie background and are more interested in data acquisition or are bike experts. So we gave our ready-made sensors, as you can see on the picture here. In this way, we are running a lending scheme where people can borrow the sensor for a couple of weeks, collect their data, and upload it to our platform. It is, I think, in the meanwhile, we have 20 volunteers who cycle around Cambridge with our sensor, and we have another 100 who registered interest in collecting data for us. So if you're interested in the data that our volunteers collected, you're more than welcome to join me on this presentation of our results.
So these are, well, we're going to present our results now, and they've been recently collated by all our generous volunteers. But first, let's look at the overall numbers over the past 2 months that we've been collecting data. We've had 500 or so instances of our devices being turned on, which amounts to around 150 hours of cycling around Cambridge, which equates to about 2 million data points. And our volunteers didn't blindly hand over the data to us. We had an online interface where they could upload the data and visualize themselves on a simple Google Maps type interface. We also incorporated a way for people to change the color map, look at different data values. One of our users was colorblind, so this was particularly useful for them. But before I show you the results, I would like to tell you to get involved. If you visit this link, you'll have access to our raw, non-geotagged data, as well as all the plots that I'll be showing today. This is all the data that we accumulated, and there's all 2.5 million data points plotted, and it's been combined with local weather data. And if we take a closer look, the data's a bit messy, so we need your help to analyze it. But now I'm going to show you some map data from different hours of the day. And this is the morning commute, the early birds going in. See this projector isn't showing the colours that well, but I'll tell you that around Regent Street it's not particularly nice in the morning, and neither is it above Churchill. Maybe a user got stuck behind a lorry all morning. And then later in the day, or around the time I wake up, one poor user or a set of users were cycling around here, and were subjected to a lot more pollution than the rest of Cambridge. I mean, had they known this, maybe they would be taking a much different route. Disclaimer, these are raw values. The scale bar is raw values from our sensor, so in reality it could be a lot worse. As you saw from my calibration curve earlier on, the local stations show a much higher value. Also, interestingly, with this data, we've used, like most tech startups, some machine learning to plot regions which haven't been covered. So, for instance, if there's a small section of a road that hasn't been covered by cyclists, we use a KNN machine learning method to fill that gap. We're confident it works. Looking at later on in the day, around lunchtime, you can see that the city centre gets a little bit messier as people are going in and out for lunch. But my favourite plot is actually this one at the end, around after school time, rush hour. And you can see that Mill Road gets a bit hazy around that time. But most interestingly, it's this road, in my opinion. This is where there's a local school, a primary school, and the PM values here are much higher than the rest of the city. So it's telling us that parents are probably going to pick up their children in big polluting cars around that time. So I feel sorry for the children that have to wait there. But not all is that bad. Cambridge is relatively good on the PM scale. And as compared to other cities around the world, for example Stuttgart, which have an array of sensors like ours, which we can directly compare to, is a lot worse. Next, traffic data. We can infer a lot of things from that data, and one of them being traffic. You can see that if you're in the green, you're cycling, you're doing well, you're making the most of your bike. If you're in the orange, well, you're cycling relatively slowly. It's probably because of the tourists who have to navigate between them, particularly around the bridge near Trinity, where tourists just don't know where this bike path is, so you have to always navigate around it. And in the red, well, you might as well be walking, and it's probably around Market Square, people are most likely walking with their bikes. I'm going to show you some graphs from all our data, and you can see that most people cycle in the morning, some people cycle around here when they wake up, and then around lunch when they're going out, and then when they're coming back from work. PM doesn't really change throughout the day, it stays around the average value we were measuring, which is no surprise. People were wondering whether our PM values changed with speed, and it doesn't look like it in the air. It just suggests there's no correlation between the data. And then lastly, we noticed there's some trend with humidity with our values, so we need a way of compensating for that, and we haven't quite figured that out yet. So if you want to get involved, please help us analyze the data, and if you find anything interesting, send us an email. Okay, I'll pass that to Francesca.
So to wrap up, that was everything we've done so far. We're really happy that with the help of all our volunteers, we are now able to actually show you these maps. So if you came to our presentation in August, that was not yet the case then. But then obviously with a project like this, our assignment is over. We all pass our MS degrees, but this project doesn't just end like this, because now we have the volunteers who are excited about this. We are excited, and it would be such a shame to just leave it from here. So we are also looking to the future. What does that mean concretely? Well, first off, it means, as Peter was saying, we can develop the technology further. So we can, the battery life is, as Ren said, around 4 hours, which is not so bad, but could still be greater. It would be, for our volunteers, much nicer if they could worry about the device a little less. For that reason, we are looking into methods to either improve the batteries or even do power harvesting with the dynamo-log system, which is an idea that we've been toying around with for quite a while. And as Lorena said, implementing the wireless transmission to stop any hassle with SD cards, which may or may not be getting stolen. So just to build a sensor hub that is as user-friendly as possible. And then to go from data to real information. So we have all these clocks, and it looks very cool. But we need to zoom in on the right ones, use them to calibrate our sensor better, and also to find the information that really matters to people. So is that you shouldn't be picking up your children from school by car? Is that you should avoid that specific road at that specific time if you have asthma? Or is it something else that we haven't thought of before? So there might be someone in this room who has a great idea, so if you do, let us know. And what we also want to do is just expand our networks further. So we've met lots of wonderful people along the way who really helped us out. For instance, like the Center for Global Equality, whose incubator we are joining, and who will help us also reach out to potentially developing countries at some point. Also, like anyone else who wants to talk to us, we have an email address. So we're always excited to hear about new ideas. And in that line, we now have something that we would call a volunteer community. People are really enthusiastic about this project, and some who have actually come here today to listen to this presentation. So you're all amazing people, and we would really like to keep you engaged, and potentially also talking to each other so that you can exchange ideas and help us make this something that, together with you, that works really well and even better. And as I was alluding to earlier, right now we have maps of Cambridge, which is where we live, so logically. But we also already have some trails, courtesy of Johanna, who's been collecting data even while on holiday across Europe. And I can also confirm now, give you a hint, that one sensor has made its way to Argentina and another might be on its way to Antarctica very soon. So we would like to really calibrate our sensor in a range of environments and also make this technology, which we feel is really interesting, accessible to anyone, anywhere, which is what an open source citizen science project should do, I think. So with that leads me to thank all the people who have been involved in this one way or another and who have helped us learn along the way and build something new and just made all of this possible. So thank you. As I said, a special thank you to all our volunteers who made the right thing today. Thank you. I have the whole team here now.
Yes. Are there any questions for the team?
Thank you for the brilliant talk. I spoke to you today, you talked about your projects and other things going on, you're giving us a really impressive show. As a person who really excited around Cambridge, air quality is one of them, road quality is the other one. That's maybe what to say. Have you got any thoughts about adding accelerometers?
We have one in there. So we have 150 hours worth.
So you do have accelerometers?
We have one in there. Yeah.
Every single track we showed was also collected with an accelerometer in the same center. We just didn't show the data.
Does it show anything useful?
So I looked at it, and yes, there are regions which you're like, okay, yes, that was a temperature. And it shows that, but the issue is that every bike's different. So, and it also depends on where you place the sensor on the bike. And so the values for some bikes look a lot worse than others. And that's fine. Like, you can calibrate it if you know if the cyclist has gone down a set number of roads that we know are okay. But we haven't set up that infrastructure yet in terms of the analysis.
I suppose the other thing is people swerve towards potholes, so you get
That too, but
different signals to the going to a pothole.
well, that's the power of big data. The idea is that we'll have thousands of data points going across the road, and a good majority of them will be collecting the data that we want. But that's going to come in the future.
Yeah, question? This one there. Yeah.
Perfect. I would just like to know, because I'm totally not an expert, how does this particular matter sensor works? Like, what do you detect? How do you detect it? the particular matter? Can somebody explain me?
Okay, so the principle is dynamic flex coupling. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than what I'm going to say now, but in principle, there is a laser that goes in. If there is no particular method, the laser just goes in. And there is a photodiode perpendicular to the laser. So if there is dust in the pathway of the laser, the light gets scattered everywhere onto the light, and so you get the response. So the higher the response, the higher the particular level.
And what is the size range that you can detect of the particle? Do you know that as well?
The size of the particle?
Yes.
Up to 10 microns.
Any other questions on? Gentlemen, has another one? No, it's also a question.
You mentioned that you did a correlation between humidity and PM levels. Is that an artifact of the sensor, do you think, or is that it is the particulate matter is higher up in there?
It might be a bit of both, to be honest, so it's hard to say. What we do see is that the cancer measuring stations, which use a different technology, also go a bit funny on very humid days or when it rains. So what we've done, like obviously a lot of literature searching, we do see that what we get is the work onto the particles, which affects them somehow. It might also be affecting our substance, and it might also just be affecting like, the actual particulate matter levels because they're being washed out. So it's hard to say what would be the relation to what would be one.
Okay, so there are no other.
There was one more here.
One question from the view.
As we're always doing these aerometer and road positions, do you think you could use it as a way of like, personal safety for cyclists as well? Behavioural change is way for cycle error.
People have done that in the past, but they mostly use your phone. And then there are ways of knowing if someone's got involved in a crash. For instance, if the orientation of the device suddenly changes, that's an easy way. So a naive way would be thinking like, oh, suddenly there's heights on the device, therefore someone's going to crash, probably someone's going over a pothole rather. The orientation is much better. But that's something that we can increase. There's nothing stopping.
Okay, so maybe we should move on in the interest of time. There's one more question.
Do you have a way of calibrating your sensor? Because it was under reading by the council. Is there a way of looking out how to adjust your values to match the ones that more expensive sensor would report?
The thing is that the more expensive sensors also picking up particles that are smaller than around 300 nanometers, and ours is not. And the fraction of that is a contribution to PM10 and PM2.5 that we're measuring depends on the particle